Students, Pete Posner here with another lesson, and today we're going to look at how to use the zero conditional and the first conditional and do some practice. Okay, first the zero conditional. So we use a zero conditional to talk about a habitual activity or situation, or also an established fact or general truth. So something that is always true. Okay, so a few examples. If you put a match to paper, it burns. Okay, this is always true. It's an established fact. Okay. In the same way, water turns to vapor if you boil it. Again, that always happens. Okay, it's always true. Another example, if I don't sleep much, I am grumpy. Okay, so this is an habitual situation for me, right? It's always true for me. Okay. Okay, now let's look at the form of the zero conditional. Okay, so in terms of the tense, it's if plus the present simple, that's the condition, and in the result, the present simple. So it's all present simple. Okay, so that example again, if you put a match to paper, so put is in the present simple, it burns. Burns is the present simple. Okay, now you can also change the order of the clauses. Okay, so that other example again. If I don't sleep well, that's the conditional clause, the if clause, right? Then a comma, okay? And then the result clause. I'm grumpy, okay? We can also change the order of those two clauses and start with the result clause. I'm grumpy if I don't sleep well, then the conditional clause. And then usually we don't use a comma. Okay, let's practice that. So complete the zero conditional sentences with the correct form of the verbs in parenthesis. Example. So we have turn and boil. Water turns to vapor if you boil it. In this case, there's no comma because we started with the result. And well, remember we got present simple and present simple. Okay, so see if you can do that for 1 to 4. Pause your video and we'll check together in 3 minutes. Okay, number 1. Plants die if they don't get enough water. Okay, again, we started with the results clause, so there's no comma, and we've got present simple die and present simple don't get. Number 2, Joe gets disappointed if his father doesn't let him watch his favourite show. Again, we started with the results clause, so there's no comma. Joe gets, present simple, disappointed if his father doesn't let him, present simple, watch his favourite show. Number 3, if it's sunny on the coast, people like going to the beach. So we started with the if clause. So it's if it's sunny, present simple, then comma, people like, present simple, going to the beach. And finally, if ice melts, it becomes water. We started with the if clause, the conditional clause. So if and then present simple, if ice melts, then comma, it becomes water, present simple. Okay, so now on to the first conditional. Okay, so we can use the first conditional to make a prediction about the future. Okay, so for example, if we save lots of money, we will take a vacation. Okay, so it's a prediction about the future, but with the condition of saving lots of money. Okay, or if I have time, I will call you tonight. In fact, this one is making a promise in the future, okay, on the condition that I have time, right? Okay, so the structure for this is if plus the present simple, comma, and then will plus the verb in the base form. Okay, so for example, we've got if he takes the plane at 6 p.m., so that's if plus the present simple. Then we have a comma, and then he will arrive home at 9 p.m. Okay, so that's a prediction about the future, and in the result clause we have will, and then the verb arrive in the base form. Okay, remember that like we did with the zero conditional, you can change the order of the if clause and the result clause, right? So you could say he will arrive home at 9 p.m. if he takes the plane at 6 p.m. And then you don't usually use the comma, okay? But just to keep things simple, we're going to keep the order this time of the if clause first and then the result clause, okay? Okay, so let's practice that, right? So use if plus the present simple and then will plus the verb in the base form. Complete these sentences, right? So you have to use the prompts to fill in the gaps, okay? Take a minute, pause the video, and then we'll check together. Okay, so number one is if you eat something now, right? If plus present simple, comma, you'll feel better. So we've got the result clause with will, this time in the contraction, you will, you'll, and then the verb in the base form, yeah, feel better. And number two, if we meet tomorrow, again, present simple, comma, I'll show you my holiday photos. I will show you, or I'll in the contraction, show you my holiday photos. That one's a promise, right? And this one is more like a prediction. Remember that there are also negative forms. Okay, so in both the if clause and the result clause, we can use the negative, right? So, for example, if he doesn't take the plane at 6 p.m., so we've got the present simple negative, third person singular. He won't arrive tonight. He will not. Contraction, he won't arrive tonight. Or if he takes the plane at 6 p.m., affirmative, he won't be late. Negative, right? He will not, or he won't be late. Or could be negative and then affirmative, right? Could be if he doesn't take the plane at 6 p.m., he will need, affirmative, to get the 8 p.m. flight, or he'll need. You could use the contraction. Okay. Okay, let's practice that. So make two sentences for each example. All right, so we'll do the first one together as an example. So there's two ways we could write the sentence, right? We've got the two verbs, wash and smell. Okay, so one way is if he washes the dog, affirmative, present simple, then comma, the dog won't smell bad. So the future in the negative, right? And the second way could be if he doesn't wash the dog, negative, present simple, comma, the dog will smell bad, affirmative, prediction in the future. Okay. All right, so do the same for 6, 7, and 8. See if you can write two alternatives for each, and we'll check in 3 to 4 minutes together. Okay, let's check together. Okay, so if you don't speak louder, he won't hear you. Or could be if you speak louder, he'll hear you. if they don't eat less sugar, they won't lose weight. Or could be if they eat less sugar, they'll lose weight. And finally, if it doesn't rain tomorrow, we'll go skiing together. Or if it rains tomorrow, we won't go skiing together. Okay, so there you go. So we've looked at zero conditional and first conditional, affirmatives, negatives. We've looked at the order of the clauses, starting with the conditional clause first, or starting with the result clause first. Okay. Alright, so I hope that was useful for you, and I'll see you for the next video lesson. Bye.